rejoicing here.
Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB.
Macon and WDDO 980 AM.
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett, Westbrook, and Mr. Dumas.
Good afternoon and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host. Also joining me is President Westbrooks. Hope you're having a lovely day. I do know that we've got liquid sunshine falling in most of our city today, but it's good to be inside, out of the rain, and hope you're doing the same. Today we have a special guest that'll be joining us by Skype, and I'll let President Westbrook introduce our guest. But before we get into that, on tomorrow, we know that April 4th marks the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, and the NAACP, along with President Westbrooks, myself, and other members, will be feeding the sanitation workers here in Bibb County. We know that that was one of the things that Dr. King was there in Memphis to talk about with the sanitation workers there when he was assassinated. And so each year we take out the time to actually recognize our sanitation workers here locally by providing lunch for them. And President Westbrooks does a great job of preparing those meals, and we get them out to the people, and they're always very grateful for the service that we render to them. And if you want to speak a little bit on that, President Westbrooks, before we introduce our guest.
Yes, it's just such a good feeling to be able to give back. Like as Vice President Dumas mentioned that Dr. King was in Memphis to advocate for better working conditions and better pay for the sanitation workers. So this is our way of, in memory of Dr. King, commemoration of Dr. King, is to do something. What he was doing,
Absolutely,
when he was assassinated there, to recognize the sanitation workers, and as we say most often, that the sanitation workers are paid lesser, but they do most of the hard work. So we want to recognize them, and like Mr. Dumas said, that they're always appreciative. Along with the NAACP, the Commissioner Elaine Lucas will be there also. She does this every year with us to in memory of Dr. King and acknowledging the sanitation workers.
Absolutely, and we know that those of us who live in Macon-Bibb, the importance of having your trash picked up and those kinds of things.
Right.
A matter of fact, we had some issues in the past year where they've actually changed some of the companies that they've dealt with.
Right.
In that regard, and so we know the importance of the work that they do.
Right.
And if they didn't do that work, what things would probably be like around your home and your community. So
and they've kind of combined it. They have public works and public works. They call them public works now, and parks and beautification. So they kind of got a different kind of name for them. But we're going to be acknowledging both of those tomorrow, and we're just hoping that everything goes smooth. We know what we'll pray over that. So
amen.
We got to get the food prepared. So we'll be working on that. So
also, there's a special program that is it the Ministerial Alliance that's
yes.
hosting that night. For those of you who would like to come out,
yes.
That's going to be held at the New Birth
Church, Baptist Church on Williamson Road. I think it's at 7:00. And some of our members, I think 4 of our members, will be receiving an award tomorrow night. And as Mr. Dumas said, you all are invited to come out at New Birth at 7:00. they will actually be recognized for the work that they do in the NAACP. So that's Evangelist Ministry. And the Ministry Alliance that will be giving those awards out tomorrow night at 7:00. Mr. Dumas himself will be awarded. Gloria Smith, Adonia Jackson, and Maria Bryant will be recipients of those awards tomorrow night. I've already received it some years back, so
Absolutely.
we appreciate the Evangelistic Ministry Alliance for recognizing the NAACP of the work that they do in this community.
Absolutely.
So
yes, you can go ahead.
On the show today, we're gonna have Aaron Stevens, who's the regional disaster officer for the American Red Cross, and we have Jerica Williams, who's the regional communications manager for the American Red Cross. So we wanted to bring they've been on the show here a few weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but we wanted to bring it's actually different representatives that will be on today, but we wanted to bring them on today because since they've been on, we've had some bad weather that's caused disasters right here in Bibb County. And so we want to bring them on to give us some updated information. One of our representatives for the NAACP actually made contact with me on last week after seeing the hotel, the Economy Hotel that was flooded. So he wanted to make sure that we had the information, which he did send me a number for them to make contact with the American Red Cross for those who were in need of services, and especially those that were affected by this past storm.
Right, because it was quite a bit of flooding, all across the state, and mainly here in our community. Milledgeville was hit with I forgot the category of the tornado that hit that area,
Right.
But quite a bit of damage there in the Baldwin County area, as well as in Macon. A lot of downed trees and power lines, and so
Right.
it's actually something that a lot of people are facing today. They're yet facing the things that they've encountered with that.
Right, and I know, this hotel is this their second time being affected by flooding. So we just want to make sure that the number that I have for anyone that needs assistance has been affected by the disaster. The number is 1-800-733-2767. If you was affected by the past storm and need any type of assistance, that is the number. The number again is 1-800-733-2767.
I see our guest has joined us.
Okay.
One of our guests has joined us.
Yes. And we have, and can you give us your name? We kind of given a little background information on you. And you are Aaron, or you are?
Aaron Stevens, I believe.
Aaron Stevens. Okay. All right. Miss Stevens, glad to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Miss Westbrooks. It's an honor to be with you guys today. And I am here with my colleague, Jerica Williams, who...
Oh, hi, Jerica.
Hello, Jerica. Glad you both could join us today.
And I've given a little information about you as far as your positions. If you want to add on to whatever else that I've spoken about, I gave your positions. If you want to just give a little bit of information as to what you do, and then we'll get into the other information that you all have for us to update us on.
Sure. Jerica, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go first, and you guys forgive me. I'm joining from my phone today. I'm having some technical issues on the computer side of things, but I'm Jerica Williams. I'm the Regional Communications Manager here in Georgia. Some of my duties include just managing our media and maintaining our media partnerships here in Georgia across the state. I also manage our social media channels as well.
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
Yeah. And my name is Aaron Stevens. Like you said, I'm the Regional Disaster Officer for the state of Georgia. So my responsibility is to manage all of the programming within disaster. And we always refer to it as a cycle that goes from preparedness into response and into recovery. And we do that cycle over and over again. to keep the community safe and secured. And I've been with the Red Cross for about 8 years now in several parts of the country, and I've been living in Atlanta for the last year, and it's wonderful down here in Georgia.
Great.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. So we wanted to bring you on because we know that this past storm has caused quite a bit of damage, and
Yeah.
we received a call from our representative from the state, Mr. Dexter Bennett, who's always involved and in the meetings and getting information back to us.
Yeah.
And he gave me a number for us to give to get the word out to make sure people had this information in case they had any damages where they will be able to get assistance from. If you can kind of update us and kind of give us some information as to where we are as far as in Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, and yes, anyone at any point in time, no matter what, can call 1-800-RED-CROSS. That is if you've been affected by a storm, a fire, you want to give blood. If you know a veteran and there's something regarding, service to armed forces, never hesitate at any point in time to reach out to 1-800-RED-CROSS. And so the situation that we're looking at here in Georgia, it's been a very busy week for disaster responders, both within the Red Cross, FEMA, GMA, all over the country. What we're experiencing right now is, you've probably heard on the news, these atmospheric rivers have been coming into California, and they're starting to come across the country and create what we call convective storms. That word usually implies severe thunderstorms, possible tornadoes, and a lot of rain that brings flooding. So what happened in Georgia, it was last Sunday. That's when the first storm system came through that produced a tornado that went through Troup County. And like you said, Mr. Dumas, kind of jumped and hopped over to Milledgeville. And then after that, we had about 36 hours of just, you were here, a storm just scraping across this state. And we started to see this flooding in Macon Bibb, where it was really localized to this hotel that is a residential long-term hotel. Those people were displaced due to that flooding. And as a result, our county partners called upon us to open up an emergency shelter, which is exactly what we do. That is what we are here for. So we mobilized our teams. We were on standby anyway, because we knew there were big storm threats across large swaths of the country. So we were able to open up a shelter a week ago today, on Monday, is when we got that shelter opened. It's been a very busy week since then. We've transitioned the shelter from one location to a second location. So we're currently now, we have people at the New Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church out on Robinson Road. Yeah,
Okay.
Reverend McKenzie has been incredibly generous letting us use that facility. So we're very grateful for that opportunity to be there to make sure people had a safe place to stay.
So do you have, is it just one location or two locations?
Just one location, ma'am.
One location. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So is that one location has been enough, or are you seeking do you need other locations? I'm just asking because since we're here on the air, it may be someone listening, another church or something that's listening
Sure.
that may be willing to.
No, I appreciate that. And anyone who's willing to be a part of our network of shelters in the future, we'd love to talk to them, because we always need sites at the ready. However, for this storm right now, we have about 30 people that are there. So they are comfortable, and the facility is more than adequate. Reverend McKenzie's so generous with his space. What we're really focused on right now is getting some services for these residents. We always want people to be comfortable in our shelters, but being in emergency shelters is very hard for people. It's hard for the mind. It's hard for the soul. People can start to heal when they start to take the next step in recovery. And that's also what we do. That's part of our cycle, is to help them have get a hold of some resources, whether it's a Red Cross resource or networking with other agencies that really helps them take that next step, so that they have a sense of ownership over their own recovery. They have their dignity over their own recovery. That is so important for us. Absolutely, everyone is welcome in our Red Cross shelter. So we open our doors. We make sure to take care of everyone, but we also know that we want to start mobilizing those resources so that people have the ability to transition out, which has been the focus of our week 2 now, is what that's going to look like so they can take that next step.
As you mentioned about resources, if there's a particular, organization or church that wants
Yeah.
to provide shelter, are there certain resources that you loan to those entities so that they could actually sustain a certain population? Because I know things like carts or air mattresses, things of that nature that would help assist in that. Do you
Yeah.
guys provide those?
We can provide items like that at times, but I think what the Red Cross does best at this phase of an operation, as we call it, we bring those partners together to have conversations so that our intake workers, our caseworkers, they will be at the shelter tomorrow. We've got our shelter workers there right now. They've been with them for the last week. Tomorrow, our caseworkers will be with them and they'll start doing intake. We like to invite other agencies to come join us, come meet these people, talk to them if you can, so that they can also hear from the people, what are your needs? And that way we can collectively start to put together the resources that are needed, because we call it whole community approach. Every agency brings their specialty, brings their bailiwick to a solution. So we certainly can do things like that as a one-off, but what we really like to do is to bring people together and listen to what the people need.
So tomorrow, what time will they be at the shelter location at New Pilgrim tomorrow?
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am. Yeah.
what time would that be?
It's pretty typical business hours to start with. They're doing the initial triage tomorrow.
Okay, because we're just trying to see, what where the NAACP can play a part in that, or
Sure.
as far as what type of, if there's certain items that they need,
Right.
Mhm.
such as like deodorant or different things like that. What I don't know
Absolutely.
if anyone is providing those type of things. Is something we can um that we can
Yeah.
actually help out with. I don't know if it's certain items, and I guess during that conversation tomorrow, you will be able to establish that. I didn't know if it was a particular meeting that was being taken place, and that someone needed, someone from our organization could
Yeah.
actually be there, because we need to be involved in the because the actual our Georgia State Conference is involved in it. Every organization
Yeah.
needs to be every organization needs to be involved, as far as the NAACP needs to be involved, and that's why we have someone from the state attending these meetings on a
Yeah.
state level to trickle down to the branches, so we can be a part of whatever that is needed.
Sure. Yeah. No, Dexter has been a wonderful partner and a great man
Right.
to work with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I would recommend, please come join us. In terms of items, we do provide hygiene kits. We got plenty of hygiene kits. That doesn't mean people don't need more, but that's our standard practice is cots, blankets, hygiene kits, meals, snacks, water, all of that, what the Red Cross is known for. But that people need more, especially when they start to leave the shelter. But I'll tell you that the biggest, most chronic need, and the way that an advocacy group like the NAACP could potentially play a role, it's
Mhm.
housing. That
Okay.
is, it
Yeah.
is, this is no surprise to anyone on this phone, but I've been on a lot of disaster responses, and the housing situation is not getting better. And it is the most,
Yes, it's not.
it's,
It's really
yeah,
not.
when we talk about unmet needs with our clients, absolutely time and again is I was precariously housed before. I don't know what I'm going to do now. And we need advocacy groups like yours to help be the voice of the people for that. So,
So let me ask you a question. So has anyone invited the housing authority here in Macon to be?
yes.
You have, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. We network with the emergency management agencies who have that entire network of governmental services. They're involved. They're absolutely involved, and it's not a fast process. I know that, but just making sure that I answer your question on what the people need. We can certainly get items and talk about that, but if we're talking philosophically, whew, we need houses. We need homes for people.
Right, right.
Absolutely. And we'd like to always involve our listening audience. If you're listening and you have a question for our panel here today at the radio station, feel free to give us a call here at 478-250-1444. Once again, that number is 478-250-1444. And certainly many people across the state may have been affected and just didn't know what group or organization to reach out to. And so if you have a question or concern, please feel free to call us.
So can you tell us also, Ms. Stevens, if someone, to our listening audience, because we're here live and we're on AFM and FM and AM radio, if someone wanted to give a monetary donation, where would they make that donation to?
Sure, redcross.org. We make it very simple. Go straight to that website. Yes, we know people want to donate, and that's the easiest way to help us out. And Jerica, keep me honest there. I'm pretty sure that's the easiest way to do it still.
Yes, redcross.org is the way to go. Quick and easy. Aaron said.
Okay, now because right now you said tomorrow you're looking at how maybe some of these people may be transitioned, you think, out to housing, or they may be there longer. As far as food or anything, how are you all providing? How are you doing that for people that are there?
So let me be clear. We don't have the housing solutions.
Okay.
I'm talking big picture when you ask what's needed. We're going to work with them case by case to have a transition plan, but it's short-term plans usually. That's where the community is very much needed to engage in the long-term solutions. And Red Cross is one of many voices that are at the table around long-term solutions. But unfortunately, we don't have the long-term solution in a box either. So
Right. And that's something that we've been working, the NWCP, we've been at the state capitol last month dealing with, housing,
yeah.
some of the bills that were involved in housing. And, just even here in Macon, as far as affordable housing, it's hard to find affordable housing right now because of the inflation, the cost of the increase in housing. So,
And
that's
pardon me. What I would say too is when we're not going through storms, some of the ways that the Red Cross, here in Georgia, my team, Jerica, our team, ways that we want to engage with you all is, Macon has a large number of house fires. Your Macon Bibb is an incredibly vulnerable area for home fires. We do a program where we go out and we install smoke alarms free of charge. We go door to door, or we take calls and take appointments and get those smoke alarms into people's homes. We do programs that help educate the youth on what to do during a tornado when the sirens go off, how to get your belongings together, how to stay calm, how to get somewhere safe. Does your family have a plan? We do these type of programs with the community during times when it's not right during a storm, so that we can get to know each other more. We can ask questions of each other, and that we can talk about these bigger problems and start to really think about some of the bigger solutions together before the storm hits. And that's also something, we'd love to engage more with the NAACP on some of those other programs, and see what we can do to really get to know each other and see how we can help fix some problems together.
So what we're going to be having a town hall meeting. Actually, we're setting it up in different areas: South, East, West, North Macon, South Bibb, I think also. We're going to be setting up town hall meetings in these different types of areas in Macon. And so we would love for you all to be a part of that.
Yeah.
To people, because actually we're going to be listening there. Actually, the town hall meeting is going to be dealing with concerns of the community, but also it's going to be for informational purpose also. And we would love for you all to come out doing these town hall meetings, that maybe people that need smoke detectors, or
Right.
we could get those out to those people that are in that meeting. That then I just know about a week and a half ago, one of my relatives, not my relative, but it was my niece's relative, uh, the whole family lost their lives to a house fire.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so sorry.
yeah, and they were the mother and the children both. All well, it was about three of them. I'm not for sure how many. I want to say that, but I know the mother and the children were lost their lives to fires, and it's so important that people have an evacuation plan. People really don't think about that. But I think that all of that needs to be a discussion in all families, evacuation plan.
Mhm.
I just know, I worked for the Department of Family and Children Services. I just retired last year in December, but we would have um, fire drills, and we had an evacuation plan. Everybody had to meet. We're told where to meet at a certain place,
Right.
and we did it as like it was a fire actually happening.
Mhm.
And we had a certain place we had to meet, and there was a check off, to make sure everybody was there. So every
Yeah.
family needs to sit down and have that discussion, have an
Yep.
evacuation plan in case
Yep.
there's a fire.
Yep.
And just to kind of intervene, and I also came from the Division of Family and Children Services. But
Really?
point, that program that we have where we do go in and install smoke alarms is called Sound the Alarm, and we're also always looking for volunteers to help us sign up. Those they will get credit, community service hours. It's a great way to get involved with the community. And during that program, they also do share, home fire safety tips with those families in
So
those
let
homes.
me so let me ask you a question, because we're almost running out of time. So if we had a town hall meeting and we invited you all out and you gave information, it was a family there that needed smoke detectors, you could take that person's information, actually go out and do the installation for them. Okay, all right.
Free of
But,
charge.
but we would love to have you all to be a part of these town hall meetings, because it's very important. Like you say, house fires is very um, it's a big thing here in Macon Bibb, and people don't know what to do. A lot of people do lose their lives
They
in
do.
house fires, yes, because they don't have a smoke detector, and a lot of people don't know that you can get them free.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely.
We'd be
Well,
happy to.
well, we certainly are happy you guys could join us today, and a lot of good information. We know storms are a lot of rain. We're still getting a lot of rain, and
Yes,
that
we
that
are.
means flooding for some areas down
Right.
south because the water always moves downward, and so
And actually, when we get off air, I will be at this hotel, making sure that make sure that if there's anyone else that need assistance that does not know about the shelter, that they would know it. I know Mr. Bennett did contact me
Mhm.
to make sure that um, some people, are not still familiar with the
Yeah.
shelter in place.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys
Thank you all
once
so
again.
much for coming in, and you're welcome to use the NAACP's Truth for a platform. If anything, you have any announcements or anything like that,
Absolutely.
just
Thank you.
tag with me, and we'll make sure we get the word out for you.
Thank you
Great.
so much for having us.
All right, y'all have a good evening. Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful afternoon. Bye.
Bye
So,
bye. Bye bye.
and so I'm Willie Dumas, your host, along with President Westbrooks. Hoping you having a great evening, and we'll see you on next week. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants,